What's up, everybody? Benji Bruce here with SpeakingLifestyle.com. And in this video, I just want to answer a quick question, questions or thought processes, whatever. But basically, listen to me talk. So I sent out this email, and in the email, I asked everybody, like, hey, why do you think you aren't where you should be? And I asked everybody to kind of self-reflect in terms of their business, speaking on stages, all that sort of stuff. So why aren't you where you should be? And so I got this response. This is one of the responses, and I wanted to answer this one because I feel like a lot of people have the same questions, the same thoughts that are going inside of their head. So here's what it is. Here was her response. She said, "Hi, Benji, you sexy beast, you son of a gun, you, oh my goodness, you hot tamale." That's not what she said. She said, "Hi, Benji. For me, it's speaking events." So I asked, like, what's the problem? She's like, "For me, it's speaking events. My obstacles have been my outreach." Dang, I sound like a retard reading this. "My obstacles have been my outreach finding the person." Damn it. All right, back up. "For me, it's speaking at events. My obstacles have been my outreach, finding the person to call and knowing who I should be targeting, aka what position, and then getting no response when I do reach out." Now, she did continue with other stuff, but I'm going to answer this one first. So basically, her first problem is that when she reaches out, she doesn't know who to reach out to. And when she does reach out to somebody, there's no response whatsoever. So first off, you got to realize that your problem isn't finding the person who actually hires the speakers. And I know a lot of people think that that's their problem. It's like, well, who do I talk to? Who hires the speakers? Everyone seems to think that's their problem. You got to remember that whatever the problem you think you have, that's probably not your problem, as this one is. So the problem isn't finding the person in charge of the speakers. The problem is you're thinking too much about this whole problem. You're overthinking it. All you have to do to find the person in charge of hiring speakers is ask. That's it. You ask. Whatever email is on their website, it doesn't matter. info@whatever.com, so-and-so@whatever.com, mail@whatever.com, contact@whatever.com. It doesn't matter. You pick up that email, you send them an email, say, "Hey, I was wondering who's in charge of hiring your speakers for your XYZ event. Who's in charge of hiring your speakers for your events?" And they're going to give you everything that you need at that moment. So let's say I send out an email. Let's say I don't even know if they do events. I just send out an email. I'm like, "Hey, so-and-so, hey, McDonald's, I was wondering who's in charge of your guys' events. Like who's in charge of bringing the speakers in for your events?" They're going to say a couple things. They can say, "I'm in charge." They can say so-and-so is in charge. They can say, "We don't even do events." Whatever their answer is, you now have your answer. you now can go from there. What a lot of people do, the reason why speakers seem to ask this question of, "I don't know who to talk to," or "Who do I contact? What email? Who's the person in charge? Like what's the job title and all that?" You don't need to worry about that. You're overthinking the whole thing. By the time you figured all that out, you went on LinkedIn to look for stuff and all that. I've already contacted them and I've got the answer. So you have to understand that you are overthinking this whole process. All you do is you go to the website, whatever email's there, you contact them and you say, "Who's in charge hiring your speakers?" If they don't have events, they'll tell you, like, "We don't do events," or "So-and-so's in charge," or whatever. So that's what you do. So that's the first answer to that one. So after she said that, she said, "I'm getting slowly better. I forgot that part." She said, "And then getting no response when I do reach out." So when you do reach out, you got to remember that the reason why something doesn't work is because there's a couple reasons. One, you're either doing the wrong things. Two, you're doing the right things, but you're doing it the wrong way. Or three, you're doing the right things, you're just not doing it often enough. And in this case, it could be a combination of you're doing the right thing, which is cold emailing, but you're probably doing it wrong. And also, like, you're doing the right thing, cold emailing, but you're not doing it often enough. So it's like, if you're not getting a response when you reach out, post in the group. Like, I know who this person is. You are a Speak Pro Academy member. Post in the group. That's what I'm there to help you out with. Post exactly what it is you're typing out, and I will tell you exactly why it's not working. Post in the group. So the reason why things aren't working is because most people, when they cold email, they copy and paste emails, and that never works. So if you copy and paste emails, that's why you're not getting a response. It sounds like spam. So you got to remember that when you send an email, it has to sound like you literally just typed it out on your phone. Like, "Hey, so-and-so, I saw your McDonald's event. I was wondering who hires the speakers." Like, it has to literally sound like it's coming from you. Okay. So I talked about that a lot. So let's continue. She said, "I'm getting slowly better. Also, an obstacle has been getting paid at a reasonable rate which likely relates to my first obstacle. So here's the thing, getting paid at a reasonable rate, getting paid what you're worth. A lot of people seem to think that, well, a lot of people think about this in the beginning, and you got to understand that in the beginning, you can't focus on getting paid anything, nothing whatsoever. In fact, in the beginning, you may have to pay to speak on a stage. It doesn't matter in the beginning. In the beginning, you want to get your systems down. You want to get the process down. You want to get really good at being able to send a cold email, getting a response, knowing how to respond to that response, and getting all the way to the end of the pipeline. Remember, the pipeline is incoming questions, quote, contract closed. So you send out an email, they respond, and they respond with some sort of interest, like, hey, what do you charge, whatever. You turn them into an incoming lead. Your next step is to ask questions about the event. Hey, how many people are going to be there? Blah, blah, blah. Your next step is quote them a price. Hey, it's going to be $1 million for 20 minutes. After that, you're going to send the contract, and after that, it's going to close. And so you want to get through that whole process. And so what I'm trying to remember why I was even saying all that sort of stuff. So the reasonable rate. Yeah. So basically you want to get through that whole process. You want to get used to that. You got to get used to using your CRM. You got to get used to sending cold emails. You got to get used to the amount of cold emails that you have to send. You have to get used to sounding in demand when you talk in the cold emails. There's a lot of stuff that you have to get used to. So if in the beginning, it's not about getting paid anything, you just got to get used to the systems, get used to the process, and do what it takes to actually get the gig. Once you get the gig, now all of a sudden you'll start gaining momentum. You'll start getting more confidence because you know, hey, it does work. And then all of a sudden, boom, everything's going to take off from there. Like I remember the first gig where I knew, like absolutely knew this worked, the cold emailing, was when Remax hired me. There's a CEO, VP, all the top Remax people were there when Remax hired me, and that was strictly from cold email. Because at first I was getting a lot of gigs from referrals and all sort of stuff. And I was thinking like, okay, I mean, I don't know, like to me, it doesn't count. Like I didn't really count those as like my business savvy because I'm thinking like, it's a referral. So once I got the Remax gig, I was like, yeah, for sure it works. And that's what you have to get used to. So once you start sending out these cold emails and everything, and it doesn't matter like what you're going to charge. If they ask you, what do you charge? All sort of stuff, you go through the process, but still it's not about getting paid a lot right now. You have to get it to work first. Get it to work, then move on to getting paid what it is you're worth. So then she said, I've considered a program, but I need a larger follower base first. So this is a person who's inside the Speak Pro Academy. She just joined actually. So when she said, I've considered a program, but I need a larger following base first, a lot of people seem to say this, and you got to understand that it's the opposite. So people say, I got to do X first before I join a program. That's almost like saying, it's like saying, you know what, before I get trained by Michael Jordan, I got to make sure I'm in the NBA first. Before I get trained by a chess grandmaster, I got to make sure I win all these tournaments first. Like, do you see the flaw in that? Do you see the flaw in your thinking when someone says that? Before I get trained by Tiger Woods, I got to make sure that I'm really good at golf. There's a huge flaw in that. It's the opposite. It's in order to get good at golf, you get trained by Tiger Woods. In order to get good at basketball, you get trained by Michael Jordan. In order to get good at chess, you get trained by the grandmaster first. Everything else comes after that. So at first I didn't even want to answer that because she is in the program now, but I know a lot of people are going through that in their heads. They got to say, I got to do X, Y, Z first. I got to write a book first. I got to do this, get followers first. Got to do this. No, it's the opposite. That's what I'm saying. Like, if you don't get this, you will struggle for a long time. You can trust me or not. I remember when I started this whole thing, I didn't trust any single guru at all. Like, literally none of them. I was like, nah, all these guys, they're all liars. I didn't trust any of them. So I didn't join anything. That's why it took me over a decade to actually do anything. And so I just tell people, I'm like, you either believe me or you don't. If you don't believe me, I guarantee in 5-10 years from now, you're still going to be struggling. So it's up to you, really. Then she said, all right, honest assessment, consistency and amount of reaching out. That's another thing she's struggling with. I need to do more. The obstacle of finding out who to contact is often what details it. I gave you the answer to that one. Also, I give up before I begin. Why would they hire someone for thousands from a cold email? Because most of my work has been from referrals, but they definitely won't hire me if I don't contact them. Also, honestly, a bit of fear of success and fear of loss of independence and control of my life in that case. Mo money, mo problems mentality. All right, and so here's the thing. The first part where she says consistency and the amount of reaching out. Consistency, that's just one of those things where you just got to like do it. You just kind of wake up every day and you just have this plan every day. You build the habit of doing it every single day. And you just say, okay, a couple things that you can do with this. You can literally just give a friend $100 in 20s or whatever. And you tell them like, hey, at the end of the day, or just give them $100 bill, say, hey, at the end of the day, I need to have contacted 50 events. If I don't, you get to keep this 100. And that'll force you to be consistent. Right. And so that's kind of what it is you're doing. Like you can do little things like that to be consistent. Now, when you say, so you say, also, I give up before I begin. Why would they hire someone for thousands from a cold email? I posted something on Instagram earlier today where I talked about don't crush your own dreams. A lot of people, they seem to crush their own dreams. Like here, you've already crushed your own dreams. Cold email won't work if you don't think it's going to work. I can tell you right now, it does work. There is like no way around this answer in terms of how you say you think it doesn't work. It does. Like that's just a fact. It's like flat earthers saying the earth is flat. It doesn't matter what they believe. The earth is round. It's like someone saying they don't believe in gravity. I don't believe gravity works. It doesn't matter what you believe about gravity. Gravity exists. It works. Same with cold emailing. It exists. It works. There's a whole industry based on it. If it didn't work, then sales development reps, they'd be screwed. There wouldn't be a whole platforms on it like Yesware, Mailshake, and all that. So the whole industry would be screwed. So it works. You just got to make sure that your brain is you got to pimp slap your brain. You got to do something with your brain, something with your dome, like something's going on in there. So you got to remember that whatever you believe to be true becomes true for you. So if you don't think it's going to work, it's not going to work no matter what you do. You're not going to be motivated to do it. You're going to contact 10 people. You're going to be like, oh, damn, it doesn't work. And so that's what happened. You got to remember that with cold emailing, it really just comes down to truly being consistent. And what happened with you is in the beginning, you get excited. You're like, okay, I'm going to get some gigs. Okay. You get excited. You start doing the work. This is where your emotions get involved when you do the work because it's kind of boring. Like you're sitting down at the computer all day, every day, like, and you get bored. And on top of that, you're not going to get a gig just instantly. That's not how it works. You won't get a gig in a week or 2 weeks. And it really depends on your website, how good your website is. But you're not going to get a gig instantly. And so what happens is when people don't get gigs instantly, that instant gratification, they're not used to delayed gratification. When that happens is they quit. They slow down. Instead of sending 50 a day, 100 a day, they slow down to 10 a day, 5 a day. And that really makes it worse. That's like saying you want to be the greatest basketball player in the world. And instead of practicing 8 hours a day, you practice 20 minutes a day, if that, or 20 minutes every other day. You won't become great at it, no matter what. So the same goes with cold emailing. There's that consistency part. And then, of course, you got to make sure that you don't defeat yourself in your mind before you actually do it in reality. Just understand that no matter what you think about cold email not working, it does work. So I don't know how else to say it. You're just wrong about cold email not working. So then you said, because most of my work has been referrals. Okay. But then they definitely will hire me if I, okay. Honesty, a bit of fear of success and fear of loss of independence. So you got to remember the whole thing where she says a bit of fear of success and fear of loss of independence and control of my life. In that case, more money, more problems. So you got to remember that no matter what, if you want to change, you have to change. Like if you want to change something in your life around you will change. The people around you, the things that you do every day, it will change. And if you're not willing to allow that to happen, then you simply won't change. Like nothing will happen in your life. This is why they keep saying you got to get uncomfortable. If you're not uncomfortable, you're not going to actually be accomplishing any of your dreams. So this is why, like, I'm always pushing myself in terms of that uncertainty. You got to push yourself into uncertainty. You don't know if this thing is going to work or anything, but you push yourself towards it. You have to do that on a consistent basis because if you're comfortable, like comfort is the enemy of success. So you are where you are and you're staying there because you get some type of benefit from it, like security, like you understand there's certainty. You know, like, hey, when I wake up every day, I do this and my life is how it is type of thing. And if you change it up, if you do something different, cold emailing all day, every day or whatever, if you do something different, well, now things change in your life. Now you can't go out when friends ask you to go out because you're like, no, I got to work. No, I got to do this. Oh, I got to do this. Now your life changes. But in order to get your life to change, you have to change your life. So You have to like truly understand this, and you got to remember that all this stuff is just in your head. Everything is in your head when it comes to cold emailing, outreach, and all that sort of stuff. Being consistent is all in your head. You basically got to be delusional, like delusional to the point where you almost become a different person, and that person becomes like a cold emailing beast, and that's how you're going to essentially get the gigs. So I hope I helped you out. If you guys like this video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, all that, everything, you know. And I'm gonna practice my reading skills because, you know, for some reason I can read that. So, all right, take care.